Hi, I'm John Giesick, and welcome to the C-Suite Sherpa podcast, where we shine a spotlight on business experts and resources that you should know. Today, we have Vernon Lesser, who's the CEO of Bull Market Capital, and they specialize in commercial lending. Welcome, Vernon, to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about what you do and the clients you serve.
Hey, John, great to be here. And so, Bull Market Capital is a commercial lending advisory firm. What we do is help small, medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs obtain funding. Typically, these business owners have been frustrated because they don't know what type of funding to get, or they've been declined by their bank that they work with or other banks, and just really don't. Like I said, they're frustrated. They don't know if they can get funding or when they can get the funding they need to grow or expand their business, and that's where we step in. We've got a network of over 500 banks and non-bank lenders. We know which banks are accepting certain industries and what bankers are looking at certain deals, and so that's what we just utilize our network to get these loans across the finish line.
Oh man, that's great. I heard it's really tough to get money from a bank. So when the bank is rejecting somebody, just enlighten me, what's the biggest reason that they refuse funding for a company?
Well, it's funny because sometimes somebody goes to their business banker, who open their checking account and may run their merchant processing, and they say, "Hey, can you help me with funding for a loan?" And it may be for buy real estate or maybe to buy equipment, something outside of their lane. They It stumps them. They don't know where to go. And what's crazy in banks is that a lot of times one hand doesn't talk to the other. So they don't know about what other departments in the bank do. For instance, somebody needs equipment. It could be an SBA loan, and that particular business banker doesn't understand SBA lending, doesn't know their SBA department. And so, that could be one reason why they decline, just because they're talking to the wrong person at the bank. Another would be industry related. Let's say, somebody wants hotel financing, which is really tough these days. You've got to know which bank to talk to. A lot of 99% of the banks are going to turn down hotel financing requests, but there are, a couple of banks out there that would do that. So, not talking to the right person is huge, and just that industry or asset class not being a fit for that bank is another big one.
Yeah, that's surprising to me that it's just so subjective. Like, the guy's having a bad day, he's on his way out to lunch. No, I can't help you. I got a tea time. I just never assumed that it was that personal, and it wasn't based on qualifications. It can be based on just talking to the wrong person. Wow, that's amazing.
It really is. We've had a couple situations where there's a credit person down the line. Everybody in the bank loves the deal, and there's a credit person who may have had a bad experience 10, 15 years ago in that industry, and it haunted them, and they're going to decline every single loan in that industry. And unfortunately, that person has a voice and has a say, and they can kill a deal. It happens all the time.
Oh my gosh, Vern, you are blowing my mind about how crazy that whole industry is. So you set up Bull Market Capital where you have a pool of bankers that know the industry and the specific industries that somebody's going to be asking for a loan for, and then you're able to save them all that hassle and direct them to the right person. Is that how that works?
Exactly. Yeah, we save people time. That's where we come in, because we've had plenty of situations where people have spent years, literally years, John, trying to get funding, and it's almost like their routine. They go to a bank, they get declined, go to another bank to get declined, and each bank takes 2 3 months sometimes to give them a slow no. So they come to us. We're going to review it. We're going to underwrite it, fairly quickly within a day or two for most deals, and say, hey, look, we can. This is never going to get funded anywhere, or we can get this across the finish line. And then what we do is, we go to lenders and banks that we feel would be a good fit, casually run this by them, and if they say, yeah, this is something we can do, then we're going to go full steam ahead and get them to the right person, because we've got a great reputation in the industry, and banks like working with us, and they like our business, they're going to get put us in the top of the line also, or the top of the pile. So we're going to get our deal looked at right away as opposed to sitting on somebody's desk for a number of months.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Because if an owner's coming or somebody's coming to you for money, they're not looking for money in 3 years. They're looking for money now.
Yeah, they have to have it now.
Yeah. So what else do you do to expedite the process for them? Is if someone comes to you, do you hand them off to a bank or you work with the client and the bank? How does the details work?
Yeah, so we definitely we don't hand off anything. We don't submit an application and walk away. We're there from beginning to end, and really after even after the loan's finished, because we want somebody to come back to us, year after year, which they do, for every single loan. And usually, we help them get funded the first time if they're starting a business or just expanding their business for the first time. And 5 years later, they're coming back to us for a loan 10 times the size. So we're there from start to finish, and we're your buddy. We're not going to leave you.
That's great. I mean, you give somebody a loan and then 5 years they come back, they took that money that you got them the first time and they, double down or triple down or 10x'd, then they're coming back. I mean, I can imagine a lender's got to look on that with, a big smile on his face, knowing that that guy actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our reputation. For us, it's reputation. For our borrowers and our clients, it's reputation based. And once they have proof of concept and banks see that, then they're going to say, okay, yeah, this guy, he's a good borrower. And working with Bull Market Capital, we know he's going to have a good solid application. It's a good loan request. We're going to give it our all as far as reviewing it and seeing if we can prove it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, Vernon, if we take a look at the whole industry in general, what do you think is going to be the biggest hurdle, the biggest obstacle coming up in the next 2 to 5 years?
Right now, rates are pretty high. I think they're going to come down. Um, we've got we got a big debt payment coming up, in the near future, and if rates come down, I think that'll probably lower our country's debt burden. So I think there's a lot of political pressure to lower rates. So that's gonna help businesses. For the last 3 or 4 years, with rates being high, investment real estate has been really tough to finance. Example, we used to do a lot of multifamily properties. That's been very slow the last few years because they're not cash flowing. So nobody wants to buy an apartment complex. But hopefully that'll change when rates go down. So I do see rates coming down. Technology has come in place, over the last few years, which does help things. It doesn't help, unfortunately, the approval rate. So you still have to know what lenders to go and speak to, and you know what what lenders to go and speak to, and also know have the right loan request in front of somebody. For instance, there's a lot of people that say, "Hey, I just need working capital," and working capital sometimes means getting $1 million term loan for 10 years, but that doesn't solve all the problems. Sometimes you need a line of credit or revolving line of credit on top of working capital, because if you're buying inventory, you want to pay on 10-year money for inventory that you're not going to have in 6 months. So a line of credit in that instance is what you need. And so so that's something that comes into play all the time. We've got to get people into the right loan situation.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's people that are calling you up saying, "Hey, Vern, I need a loan for this," but they really don't understand the details versus loan, line of credit, and yeah, you'd be better off with this. So you get to put on your advisor hat and steer them in the right direction as well. So yeah, I appreciate the services, Vern. We're gonna loosen up a little bit. I want to give the viewers a chance to get to know you a little bit more personally. So we're gonna go through a lightning round. I'm gonna ask you some questions and just share with us what first thing that pops up in your head, and we'll take it from there. You willing to play along, Vern?
Let's do it.
All right, so I'll start off easy on you. Let's go coffee or tea?
Coffee,
Coffee.
definitely.
Okay, what
Yep,
about dogs or cats?
definitely dogs.
All right. And what about a favorite quote or a saying or something? Maybe someone that's something shared with you, or maybe you got it hanging up on a monitor or something you read every day. You got something like that?
Yeah. So on my LinkedIn page, I've got how you do anything is how you do everything.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that one. That's great. What about a movie? Any favorite movie that you could recommend to somebody?
Oh, all the Rocky movies.
All 12 of them? How many are there? I don't
All
even know.
12. Well, if you include the Creed movies, I think there's nine, I
That's
believe.
awesome. Oh yeah, that's a great go-to. What about Vernon? You ever get a chance to plop on the couch and watch some TV? If you're watching TV, what's on? What are you watching?
Okay, so my two favorite series, I guess, would be Vikings and Peaky Blinders.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, those are I never heard of Vikings, but yeah, Peaky Blinders was great. I enjoyed it more than my wife did, I'll tell you that.
My wife actually loves it too,
Did she?
um, and yeah, she loved Vikings. She liked Vikings also. Yeah, I think that was a great series.
That's great. What about a book? If you want to recommend a book to somebody, something you're reading now or something that impacted you, on your success journey, what would you share with somebody?
The Art of the Deal.
Art of the Deal. Yeah, I've been hearing a
Yeah.
lot about that book lately. Apparently there
It was
apparently
written
that
by who? By that guy? What's that
yeah.
guy?
Apparently somebody's got some of that stuff figured out, huh? Ain't it great?
Exactly.
All right, Vern, let's hit your bucket list. Let's share with us and the viewers, something that you had on the bucket list that you accomplished, and then share something that's still on your bucket list that you know you're going to nail.
Oh man, something I've accomplished. I always wanted to go to Alaska. Went on an Alaskan trip a couple years ago. That was great. Want to go back.
Was it a cruise?
It was a cruise, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What
And I
about
think
something that's still left on that list?
okay, there's a guy named Mike O'Hearn, and he was an original American gladiator. He's older than me. He's 56, 57, and the guy is a beast. I want to work out with him. He's a he's out in LA, and I'm going to contact him. Got a shoulder injury I'm fighting through right now. But after I get through that, I'm going to contact him. I'm going to say, hey, I want to hire you to work out, train me for a day or a week or whatever.
That sounds awesome. I want footage of that, Vern, because if you don't record it, it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. I'm just telling you that
Oh
right
no, it's going to happen. Yeah.
now. All right, Vern. So people are going to watch this. They're going to want to reach out to you and connect with you. What's the best way for them to find you?
So our website is bullmarketcapital.com, and or you can just reach out to me at Vernon Lesser at bullmarketcapital.com.
That's great, Vernon. And we'll put all that in the podcast notes, but I wanted you to let people know because a lot of people aren't going to go ahead and read that stuff. So I appreciate you taking the time with us today and visiting with us, and I'm looking forward to connecting again soon.
Yeah, John, I really appreciate it. It's been great. Thank you.